Okay, so ir plus el plus infinitive is going to focus more on using the verb to go with another verb, basically another verb in its infinitive form, its unconjugated form, the original form that ends in AR, ER, IR, unless it's an irregular verb. But talks about it on the Voces website, but looking at the lesson here, and you can look at this at any time. For the verb ir, is the verb to go. We will have a quiz tomorrow over the verb ir, the verb dar, and the verb estar, but ir is, I think, the most important of those three. So we're going to talk specifically about ir, and then we'll talk about gustar, which will be added to tomorrow's quiz as well. But ir being used for, it is still present tense, but it can be used to talk about the simple future, as in, I'm going to do something. The actual formal ing form we're going to learn later this chapter, which is called present progressive. For now, just present tense of the verb ir, which is your verb to go. What is the yo form? How would you say I go? Voy. Good. And instead of going down on the singular side of the box, let's go across. If I'm by myself, it's voy. If somebody joins me, then it would be vamos. Good. What is the to form? Vas. Good. And if somebody joins two, it should be vosotros. We're still not going to be responsible for vosotros there. But if it's usted or anything else that's singular would be va. If it's ustedes, anything else that's plural is going to be van. Remember that we don't use vosotros. We substitute ustedes with the, instead of vosotros, we use ustedes because it's better to be formal than to be informal. But anything else that's singular would be va. Anything else that's plural would be van. Okay. All right, couple of examples. Notice on these, the verb already has the a right after it. And so if you're going to a place and it's a feminine place, you leave it like that. If you're going to a masculine place, anything that's masculine, it would already be joined. And so that's what it's going to talk about next. And making sure that the verb to go is always followed by an a. Because if you're going to a place, and it's a feminine place, you're going to leave it the same, but if it's a masculine place, you're going to do a and el together to join to be al. Okay, but feminine, leave it the same. All right, adonde we mentioned yesterday, just a difference. A lot of times you'll ask where somebody is going. The a is added to the word donde, which is just a word for where, to ask basically where are you going. And so that a donde is in the question, and it's also in the answer. I'm going to class. And so you're basically asking somebody, where are you going to? To where are you going? And then you say wherever you're going to. Okay. All right, so technically it's a simple future, not future tense yet. That won't come until the end of Spanish 2. But for the verb ir, can be talking about something you haven't done yet, but we're still in present tense. And so you're going to use the verb ir, and you're going to add an a after it every time. But if you're going to do something, which would be a verb, the verb would be in its infinitive form. It would not be conjugated, the second verb in a row. However, you would still conjugate the verb to go. So I go to swim, you go to swim, he goes to swim, and so on. So the first verb would always be conjugated. The a doesn't count as something in between both verbs. And remember, the rule is to always conjugate the first verb. Don't conjugate the second one if it's in a row, which this a is seen as part of the verb, so you can still count it as two verbs in a row. For example, voy a comprar. You would conjugate the voy, and then the a stays there, which technically would be I'm going to buy. And I'm going to park. Same thing, conjugate the first verb, don't conjugate the second one. Okay, so let's try some of these. I go to the party. What would be I go? Voy. Okay, so voy a, and then the word for party is la fiesta in this case. We go would be what? Nosotros vamos. Good. And in this case, it's you don't need to know the word for secondhand store, but know that it's a place here, so a la tienda. And so you have an article that goes with it. In this one, you won't need an article because you're not going to the Cancun, you're just going to Cancun. So, or Mary goes to Cancun. What would that be? Va. So Mary va a Cancun. Okay. Now, what if we use a verb? Instead of going to a place, we're now going to do something, an action, a verb. You should be able to do this, except for American Idol wouldn't change, because that's the name of the actual show. So he, what is he? El with an accent is going to, the verb to go, va. And he's going to win. What's to win? Ganar. So, él va a ganar American Idol. Okay. And last one, Jose is going to buy a Mustang. Okay, and don't change the Jose to él, but it would still be the él conjugation, the singular conjugation. Él va a comprar un Mustang. Okay. Questions on those? All right, I want you to go to your Edmodo, and on your Edmodo you have a practice for the verb ir and contractions with the a plus el. You're going to make al. That's the only one we're going to use for right now. We will do the de and el later when we use possession.